love for my brother, what I love for myself, only Allah do I worship and ask Him for help. Every day, 5 times must I always pray. I am proud to be a Muslim now. Everyone say La ilaha.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. May Allah's peace, blessings, and mercy be upon you. Welcome back for another session of knowledge to action. Today's topic, our title is Don't Delay. We're going to be talking about procrastination. It's the act, feeling, behavior involves so much, but the outcome is that you've put off something that you know you need to do. And you know that if you don't do it, it causes some sort of harm. Usually it causes stress within us, or it impacts outcomes, it impacts effectiveness, efficiency. It could affect relationships. So procrastination is a problem. The opposite of procrastination is immediacy. Considering something such a priority that you do it now and you don't delay. That makes you happy. I have a small story that I would like us to start off with, because we have to be thankful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We have to thank Him for everything that He's given us. I do some work with some federal inmates. These are prisoners, not political prisoners, criminals. People who have hurt people, that have caused fear in society, that have committed maybe murder and very serious crimes. But everybody has an opportunity to change. And I do some work with these individuals back in Canada. There's one brother that I want to remember, because I found his advice very profound. His advice didn't come in the form of, oh, by the way, Brother Mahdi, you should do this, because that's not the relationship. The relationship is the other way around, where I'm providing guidance, advice, counseling, support for this individual. But he said something that was a testimony of his progress, and a testimony that I believe strongly that his level of risk to recidivize, to go back to crime after he's released, is decreased substantially. He says this. He says, I learned that you should read Surah Al-Kahf, the chapter or the surah in the Quran titled Al-Kahf, cave, every Friday. Right? So he says, because there's benefits to it. Now, do you have to read it? No, you don't. But for him, he was so motivated because he wants to get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So every Friday he starts to read Surah Al-Kahf. Now, he doesn't read Arabic like some of you who are here from in Egypt studying Arabic. He doesn't read Arabic at all, even though he was born an Arab. He says, I start reading it. So he starts reading it in English. And he says, I start reading it. And then I get this feeling that I want to stop and go do something else. I want to go and he says in his exact words, I stop and I feel like I want to go do something haram. Something forbidden in Islam. And he said, but then I tell myself, no, keep going. And I keep going. And then a few moments later, I feel like I want to get up again. But then I tell myself, keep going. And I keep going. And then a few moments later, and then a few moments later, and then a few moments later. And then I've completed the surah, and I feel good about myself. That's the story. To you, you might be thinking, I do that every single day. That's because you know about impulse control. Naha nafsa anil hawa. The one who controls their impulses. You know about that, so you're saying no big deal. But for criminals, need it, want it, take it. That's a big difference between people who are hardworking and live life according to the rules and criminals. We will wait for a paycheck after a month or 2 weeks. Some people don't wait. They see something they want, they take it, which leads us into trouble. So I want us to just reflect on impulsivity today. Because that impulse to just, the hawa, the wanting to do it, has a lot to do with procrastination, delaying things. Because the things that are important to us are the things that we should be doing right now. And those are the very things that our impulses tell us don't do them. So let me ask you, think of one task on a regular basis that you know if you don't complete it, you'll feel stressed. You won't feel comfortable. You'll be on edge or anxious. Do you want to give us an example?
Yeah, here in Egypt, it's my studies.
Studies?
Yeah.
Right. You got homework. You got to get the studying done. Or else you show up to class next day, or you got an exam, whatever it is. All right. You got anything?
Preparing for tomorrow?
Yeah, getting prepared. So if you're a teacher, for example, you got to prepare the curriculum. If you have a specific task at work, whatever it is, you could be working within the home. It could be so many things. But if you don't do it, you feel anxious. What we want to do is we want to make sure that we put a real end to procrastination. We call it prep. Putting a real end to procrastination. Prep. And you got to prepare for it. The prep process of ending procrastination starts off with the assessment, as usual. Then we start to identify the barriers and strategies. Make sense? So we want to know what our procrastination looks like. We want to know what's blocking us from actually doing the tasks that we need to be doing, and what strategies can we engage in so that we can get that task done. So for our viewers at home, for you guys here, you can think about it for your own development. Because eventually, somebody's going to come to you and say, I've got a problem. And you're going to say,
Me too.
then you're not going to say, me too. You know what I mean? You don't want to say that. You want to say, and I can help you find the solution. So, if their problem is procrastination, and usually most of us procrastinate, it's very, 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 very common, right? Most people do it. Best example, prayer. We'll get back to this in the end. If you can pray on time, every single day, 5 times a day, and the times are not always the same, especially if you go to countries like Canada, where Maghrib is at 4:30, 4:45 p.m. in the summer. Sorry, not in the summer, in the winter. And in the summer, much, much, much later. So the day, everything changes. But if you're able to get that time management complete, to pray on time, you're on a great path to applying that to everything else in your life. Right? But we'll get to that at the end, inshallah. Let's do an assessment first. Okay? On a scale of 1 to 10, how happy are you? That's what you want to ask yourself. How happy am I? Right now, here in this moment, how happy am I? Then you want to ask yourself a follow-up question. If I complete this task, whatever that task may be, will that number go up or stay the same? It'll definitely not go down. If I complete this task that I need to do, homework, preparation for tomorrow, or we don't want to use extreme examples like surgery, because that's a little, it takes us to a different level. But if I complete that task, will it go up? If you say yes, then why don't you do it? What's preventing you from doing it? First question to ask yourself when it comes to barriers is, who's in control? Are you in control or somebody else? It's time for us all to be in control of our own lives, to control our own stress levels. Sometimes it has a lot to do with the way we think. So we're not looking at the world realistically. Other times, it has a lot to do with the amount of work that we have on ourselves. If we don't change, if we don't take the knowledge that we have, convert it into action, and change for the better, then we have to ask ourselves why. Why are we not changing? We know completing this task makes us feel better. Why are we not doing it? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, verily, Allah will never change the condition of a people until they change themselves. Once again, I know there's many scholars have books written about this verse from the Quran. The important piece for us today is that change needs to be active. I act. We have to act, if you recall back from our example. So, what strategies can you engage in to make sure that you're overcoming procrastination? We've covered a few along the way. They're usually broken down into 3 different categories. These skills, these life skills that you develop, allow you to be in control. Give you that knowledge. They also contribute to you being a great helper. They usually fall under communication and interpersonal skills. We've covered quite a bit about that, did we not? Problem solving and creative thinking. And coping and self-management. Right? Coping and self-management is that internal stuff. That's what involves anxiety control, stress management, time management, all of those other skills have a lot to do with coping and self-management, but they also involve the other 2. So, procrastination. Let me first and foremost tell you the cycle of procrastination, and then when we come back from the break, we're going to identify procrastination. We're going to assess it, ways to assess it. We're going to talk about the barriers, what makes people procrastinate, and then we're going to talk about strategies a little more specific. The cycle of procrastination usually begins by saying, I will never procrastinate again. That's where it begins. It begins at the end. Everybody is going to procrastinate. Everybody's going to make mistakes. The problem is when the mistake is persistent, when it's continuous, when it makes life worse, when it's intensified, when the frequency increases. This is when things become problems. When the temporary state starts to become a trait. So, first step of procrastination is when you said, I will never procrastinate again. Join us after the break to find the other steps of procrastination, to identify your own procrastination, the barriers, and the strategies. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah.
Why does Islam say, what is the purpose of our lives? When you go to the grave, the believer will be asked 3 questions. How many, destruction of marriages, of society, of family ties have come because of statements made on someone's tongue, by what someone has said. What Sharia really is, think about it. We want you to think about it. Think about life. Think about your purpose in life. Think about the creator of this earth we live in. Think about how you should worship this creator and who this creator is. That's our aim behind this show here on Huda TV. Let's focus on what Islam itself says as a legal Islamic religious system.
محمد رسول الله.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. May Allah's peace, blessings, and mercy be upon you. First step of procrastination is what?
Saying I will never.
Never do it again.
I'll never do it again.
Yeah.
Right? So you made the mistake. Okay, you made it the mistake and you said, I'm never going to do that again. You cram before an exam. You don't prepare to the last minute. You know, and that anxiety and that stress, and you can't focus, you can't, you feel really bad about it. It leads you to a point where you make tawbah from it. And we make tawbah from major sins, right? Tawbah. You say, I will never do it again. But see, tawbah is not just the intention to never do something again. You also ask for forgiveness, so you reflect on what it is you did wrong. And you feel bad about it. So there's a process of tawbah here. Let's apply the concepts of tawbah here too. What did you do wrong that makes you want to never do it again? You delayed, right? That's it. Okay, I'll never delay again. But then what happens? You start the second step, which is, I'll start early next time. That's it. Next time, you know what? You just finished the exam, and you said, you know what? I'm right after my exam, I'm not even going to relax. I'm going to go straight to studying for the next exam. Ever happen? That's it. I'm not going to do it. So there's some action there, right? But you don't start. Then you say, okay, I got to start soon. I really got to start soon. I still got lots of time, but I really got to start soon. But you don't start. You keep delaying. You say to yourself, well, what if I don't start? After all, I deserve a break. I've been stressed out. I got to see my family. I got to do this. I got to do that. I got to catch up on Facebook. I got to catch up on these, on my games, whatever it is. But you do whatever it is, and you're like, man, what if I don't start? Eventually you start. But then you tell yourself, I should have started sooner. If only I started sooner, it would have been easier. I would have been able to enjoy what it is I'm doing rather than being forced to do it. But somewhere along the lines, you find yourself doing everything but the thing you're supposed to do. Ever clean your room when you knew you should have been studying? Or did you ever all of a sudden now realize that you need to organize the names in your book? Or all those notes in your phone, you got to start now. Or you have a new idea and you want to develop that idea now. Now's the time to do it. So you're doing everything but what you're supposed to do. Then it takes a turn for the worse, where you start feeling like you cannot enjoy anything. This task has been so demanding on your mind that you can't enjoy anything. But there's still time, you feel. Oh, I still got more time. I can do it. I can get it done. Then some people get into a stage where they start to try to self-diagnose themselves with problems. There must be something wrong with me. I have ADHD, for sure. I can't concentrate. I must have a problem. Then, should I do it or should I not? The worst word that any student can use. I'm going to say it on TV. You ready for it? Defer. To defer an exam. To defer an assignment. We do it so much, but it causes so much stress. When all you needed to do was start early, have a plan, and keep going. But still, you're at that point now where it's either I do it or I don't do it. And you think, well, why should I even do this? So what if I get a 0? Fine, I'll get a C+ in the course instead of an A. But then you get into the final stage, which is, I just have to get it done. So you pull an all-nighter, you do whatever it takes, and you finally get it done. And you submit it, or you finish it, or whatever happens, and it's done, and you say, I will never procrastinate again. I'll start early this time. And the cycle continues. We have to put a real end to procrastination by assessing it, understanding the barriers, and engaging in certain strategies. Are you a procrastinator? If so, what are you waiting for? Why not do it? Why not get it done? Let me ask you a few questions so that you know if you're a procrastinator or not. We're doing assessment. Do you put off preparing a task until the last minute?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you always say, I'll do it tomorrow? I'll do it tomorrow. I don't need to worry about it now.
Yeah.
All right. Do you sometimes delay tasks until you almost miss the deadline?
Yes. Yes, every time.
Do you feel tense, anxious? Before, you know, when you've avoided it for so long, now you got to pick it up again. You're like, I want to avoid it. Are you afraid that no matter how hard you try, you'll fail? We'll talk about procrastination perfectionism in our next episode. So we can put that one aside. Do you have unrealistic expectations about how much time you have left? You think you have enough time, but really you don't. We do that. We do that all often, right? Just know that it's normal. Most people procrastinate, but also know that a lot of people don't, and they're able to complete tasks. That should be you. Why not? Why shouldn't you enjoy life just like everybody else? Life's too short to stress out. You can get things done. So, if you believe yourself to be so busy that you never get anything done, it's time to assess yourself a little more properly. Find out what it is that's preventing you from getting things done. Because after all, if not now, then when? We have to ask ourselves that question. Do we make choices? Or do choices make us? What's happening here? Is our procrastination complicated or uncomplicated? Do you choose to procrastinate? Or is it just become such a trait within you that you're always procrastinating? You need to understand your own procrastination and assess it. What are the barriers? What do we usually do when we're procrastinating? Sometimes we just cop out. Action cop out, they call it. Just go watch TV. Just do something else. So for our viewers, as soon as this episode is done and you need to get something done, go get it done, inshallah ta'ala. Right? Unless there's a really good show after this, then watch that one too. Inshallah. Mental excuses. Things that we put us in our mind, sometimes that are irrational. You know, I'll do it tomorrow. After all, I'm a last minute type of person. I do my best work at night. All these mental excuses just to avoid the guilt of actually thinking about it. Or, you know what? I'll get all of the shopping and the cleaning and all that stuff done now so that I can work on it all evening. But now you have the energy. Now you're ready for it. Do it now. Don't delay. And sometimes people feel that the task is just too difficult and they just don't want to approach it. Usually it's not. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not test you beyond what you can bear. So if it came your way, you can handle it. It's just a matter of getting past those initial stages of impulsivity to just do something that you know is going to hurt you. But rather, when you prevent it from happening, when you block the impulsivity, you find yourself a little happier that you've controlled yourself. And now you're one step closer to your goal. There's so many other things that we do when it comes to procrastinations. It's important to understand your own procrastination. There's a Spanish proverb that says, tomorrow is usually the busiest day of the week. Right? Bukra, bukra. Everything is tomorrow. Everything is tomorrow. And someone once said, someday is not a day of the week. So when are you going to do the task? Oh, someday. Well, sorry. Choose one of the 7 and get it done. So, we've assessed procrastination. Everyone procrastinates. Everyone delays. Why do you delay? Is a question to ask yourself and be serious about answering it. Why do you delay? Usually, impulsivity. So we want to get over that. Some of the strategies to overcoming procrastination involves what we're going to be talking about a little more in other episodes. I call it the Mo-Clear strategy. Motivation, organization, commitment, learning, and relaxation. These are 5 ingredients to success that we're going to apply to procrastination in future episodes. But for now, let us identify a few more reasons why people procrastinate. The task is too difficult. If the task is too difficult, what is a strategy to overcome it? Reassure yourself that it's not. Break it down into small tasks. If you have 800 pages to study, but you've got 8 months, there's 100 pages a month. Break it down even more. How many pages a day? Break it down even more. How many pages an hour? If you can break down your goal into smaller parts, it's much more manageable. And you can actually do it. And you can start rewarding yourself for small successes. Not only that, you'll know, because if you've missed out on a couple hours, you'll feel anxious. Chances are you're not going to miss out on a full day. You need to break it down, right? Another reason is it takes too long. Once again, it's in your mind. Break it down. I don't know how to do it. Well, ask yourself, who does? If you have an exam tomorrow, who has all the answers to the exam? Who has all the answers to the exam? Your teacher, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but you do too. It's all in the books. You just got to get it. I'm afraid of messing up, or I must do it perfectly, or I'm easily overwhelmed. Those have a lot to do with procrastination, with perfectionism, and self-management techniques that we'll be talking about later on. However, let me end with this. Before the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam passed away, a few days, he got really sick. Really, really sick. So sick that he fainted. And it was time for salah. It was time for prayer. And all the people are waiting in the mosque, frozen, waiting. They're so scared for their beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And he fainted. When he got up, he said one thing. Asalla nas, did the people pray? He said, no, Ya Rasulullah, they're waiting for you. So he got a little bit of energy, he jumped into it right away, making wudu, but he passed out. Several times. He'd get up and he'd say, Asalla nas, did the people pray? No, Ya Rasulullah, they're waiting for you. He'd get ready, he'd get an energy, a boost, make wudu, getting ready to pray, and then he'd pass out. Several times. What task do you have waiting for you now, here and now, that you're not doing? Get it done. Try it. Ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help us overcome our impulsivity. Pray. Don't delay. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
I only love for my brother what I love for myself. Only Allah do I worship and ask Him for help. Every day 5 times must I always pray. I am proud to be a Muslim now. Everyone say La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. La